Hi guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, I decided to design a deck of cards based on my OCs, since I have 12, which is almost enough for a deck of cards. Now, if you are familiar with a typical deck of playing cards, there are 13 unique kinds of cards, and I have 12 OCs. So if you want to make sure you see what I do for the 13th card, then you better stick around till the end of the video. Also, please make sure you are subscribed, as I've been trying to hit 2,000 subscribers for a long time, and we still haven't hit it. So make sure to smash that subscribe button. And on with the video. So I decided to start with Avenir for the number 1 card, which may seem weird to any of you who are familiar with my OCs. Like, why didn't I start with Haley? But, she'll come up later, so don't worry. So, for the first, 10 cards, I want to do this really simple, chibi head style in place of where, the symbols on a card would be. You know how, for example, you have a, 4 of diamonds. On the card, there'll be 4 diamonds. So instead of, the places where those diamonds would be, I'm doing the heads of my characters. And pretty much that's the concept for the first 10. Also, since the white background on its own didn't look that good, and I wanted the characters to pop out from the background a bit more, I put gradients of their eye colors behind, which comes back to haunt me later. But, for Avenir, it looks really cute and sweet. So we're not going to worry about it for now. And then in the corners, I would put, number and the symbol. And I'm just now realizing that I didn't put the upside down numbers. Because in most cards, they have the numbers so that if you hold them upside down, you can still read the number. I didn't do that. I did a really bad job at replicating cards. But then we go to card number 2, which is Evie. You're gonna notice I just kind of did these in the order of my OC videos. So now that we have multiple heads going on, I would just draw out the head and then copy and paste it and adjust the sizing to fit the card better. And then this process is pretty much just gonna repeat for the first 10. I mean, that's not to say there's not, interesting things that doesn't happen, but this is gonna be a short video. We are going to, blast through these first 10 cards pretty quickly because there's not too much to say for most of them. So for the eyes, I made them all pretty simple. I kind of have this simplistic eye style that I go for when I'm trying to simplify things. It kind of bounces around how I do it because I didn't do eye shines for any of these. I just did a little lighter color at the bottom. But typically it would be an oval, a lighter color, and then 2 eye shines. But I guess the eye shines were too much work for me. And I guess that mouths were also too much work. I don't know how it happened that, I decided not to draw mouths for any of these. I guess it just really looked cute that way, so I went for it. Then we have Leo. Once again, not much to say. Okay, then we have Sam. And Sam, we started running into some issues with. So, okay. I would reference the size for, drawing the original head based on the Avenir card. I didn't want this style to stray farther and farther from the first card. I wanted these all to be similar, and I didn't want clear changes to evolve over the course of it. So I referenced the first card for a while, but then since I would draw it based on that size, and then shrink it, by the time we got to Sam, the shrinking would make it like really blurry and kind of pixelated. So I had to start referencing the previous card for the size. Then we move on to Alex, who is number 5. And the formatting here was a bit strange because it had to be 3 heads wide, but I also want the heads to be as big as possible. So that formatting was just a bit awkward. And this is when I start really regretting the whole eye color gradient thing. I regretted it a bit with Eevee too, but here it's really bad. Because first of all, you know, the brown and black colors that some people's eyes are just don't look as nice as the like blue eye color gradients. Because, you know, I want these to be pops of color and to bring those colors up in other places. But for Alex especially, it starts to get bad because that's also her hair color. So it doesn't make her pop out, it just blends her in with the background more. So yeah, that was an unfortunate decision that I had already done so many times that I couldn't change the pattern now. You know, I actually made a deck of cards before. It was based off of the Top Trumps game where you have like these cards with different stats and everyone will draw a card, and then whoever won the last round calls out a stat and whoever has the highest number of that stat wins. So I made a deck of cards for that, but it was all Dream SMP themed. And like, I actually made these cards physically. There is a physical deck of them. I did a really bad job at cutting them, and I didn't have any lamination material, which is what people recommend to like laminate the back, the top, and some sort of stiffer material all together so it like seals it in. They're nicer to use, and you don't have to use something like glue or tape. But I couldn't find like lamination stuff, and I'm too lazy to order it for like one use. So I used packing tape. So they were really bad, but I kind of want to like make another deck of cards. It's a really fun process. I would recommend doing it, but I don't know, maybe it'd be fun to like actually print these out and make these and like do something like this more often. You know, there are plenty of different kind of card decks I could make. Tarot cards, that's a good one. That way I could justify the purchase of a lamination machine. So let me know if you'd be interested in like me making more decks of cards. So then 6 is Jacob, and at this point I also started lowering the brush size as I was drawing them because they're getting real tiny. Also at this point I'm copy and pasting the layers of color after coloring them once. It takes a bit of finessing to like position it correctly and not have like little gaps of color here and there. But it is faster than individually coloring them all. I wish I could talk, y'all. Then number 7 is Peach. I've always loved drawing Peach, you know. She has a really fun design. Her colors are great. Can you tell that I don't have much to say and I'm just like trying to kill time? But yeah, she's really cute. And there's starting to be a lot of heads at this point. Like you can see me trying to shove in that middle head while still making the other heads big enough. Like it's getting a little cramped. Then we move on to Carmen. And unfortunately, her yellow sweater isn't here. I should have made yellow the background gradient color if I didn't decide to make it eye colors. But I feel like this card really needs like that pop of color, because it's kind of boring right now. Also, you'll notice that I skipped Clyde. Similar to Haley, you'll see him come up later, so don't worry too much. So then we have Crystal, and at this point we're all like, God, number 9. So yeah, Crystal is the 9th card, and at this point the line art's getting really thin, and I'm not too fond of the final couple of cards for that reason. Also, making Crystal and Brock's ears symmetrical It's a whole ordeal, man. I swear, every time I try and do it, it's taken years off my life. Oh, I haven't done this yet. By the way, if you don't know who these characters are, or, maybe you don't know one or two of them, I have a series where I explained, like, all these characters in depth. I did redesigns of them and, like, workshop their stories. So if you want to learn more about these characters and what they once were and who they are now, it's in the iCard right now, if I remember. Then finally we have Brock. Once again, not too fond of this either. But yeah, those two, really quick, not much to say. At this point, we've done 10 of these. You know the drill. But then we get into the interesting ones. I think they're called face cards. I don't know why I can't confidently remember the terminology for them, but it's like the Jack, the Queen, the King card. So we're starting with the Queen, which is going to be Haley. If you couldn't tell by the way I skipped her. So I'm actually putting this before the Jack, even though Jack technically comes first. If I'm doing this in like ascending order, but you'll see why I did that. Haley was actually the first card I started on, and originally I was going to do the one card with her, so you can see me like plan that all out and draw it out. And then I realized I'm going to have to choose characters to be the Jack, the Queen, and the King. So I decided out of all my characters, she would make sense to be the Queen, because she was my first ever like OC out of these 12. And for a while she was, my iconic character. And to some degree, she still is, even though I don't draw her as much or give her as much love. So I decided I would do bigger, more detailed pictures for all these, and I want to give her like this intense expression and pose. And so I want to like angle her head down and have her giving this intense glare. But it kind of just looks like her eyes are too small, and her face is just really low. That's something I really need to work on. I didn't really shade these either, but for Haley, I added a bit of dramatic lighting, some shadow on the face to give it some more intensity, and I also added a crown in the corner, which I didn't do to any of the other like royalty cards, but oh well. And then for the symbols, I made them a bit more like they actually look. If you've noticed, for like spades, I've just been doing an arrow, so it's easier to replicate. Because if I had to draw like a spade 10 times, or 13 times, sorry, I would never do this video. But for these last few, since they're a bit more detailed and there was less of them to do, I did like a full spade, instead of just an arrow. And that was pretty much it. I don't really like this one because I like tried to stay low effort while also trying to do something a lot more detailed and intricate. So it doesn't come out looking good and just looks lazy. But then we have the Jack one, and this one, if you look in the background, you can see I shoved the Queen one to reference. So that's why I had to show the Queen first. And if you couldn't see this coming, Clyde is the Jack card, because I don't actually know what a Jack is, but in your traditional deck of playing cards, they're male appearing, so I'm assuming it's some kind of male nobility thing. So in terms of my male OCs, then Clyde I feel like would be like the one that's the most special to me, has the biggest connection to me, and is one of the most iconic. So obviously he would have to be the Jack. Also, it really bothers me how like the black outline, you can't actually tell there's a black outline because the like bars on the side of the video are also black. Also, side note, I totally forgot how ugly the formatting on this video was gonna look, so I'm so sorry. but it really bothers me how that black outline is covering up the white outlines of certain things. Like the letters, part of the white outline around Clyde is just getting cut off. Also, the symbols, especially like the black colored ones, the club and spades, they're looking real ugly because I cannot draw them for the life of me. But this one's still better than Haley because I went a lot simpler with the concept, so it doesn't look as much of a mistake. Then finally, the final card, the King card. So I couldn't decide at first whether I would draw me, because I'm the creator and king of all these characters technically. Or if I would draw the headmaster of Main High, who I technically haven't designed yet. I have a vague concept of him in my head, but it kind of is just heavily inspired by the design of a character in a different webcomic, so probably shouldn't keep that as the design, and I should probably do some more work on that. So I decided I'd just draw myself, even though I draw myself all the time. Also, I thought I had cut off the arms for the other drawings. I do that sometimes when I'm trying to be more simple because I hate figuring out shoulders, especially when arms aren't doing any kind of pose. So here I cut off those arms, even though I didn't do it for the rest. I'm also off center, which really bothers me. It would have been so easy to fix, and it's so obvious with the white outline. But in general, it's just a pretty classic drawing of my persona. Not much to say. I've drawn myself way too many times on this channel. You're probably tired of it. But that was pretty much it. This was a really fun thing to do. It took quite a while, but it was a lot of fun. But make sure you subscribe to see plenty of quality content. Also make sure to like the video and comment down below your favorite card that I made in this video. Also follow all my social media in the description below, and I will see you next